Story 1. That they are shallow and horrible. Ended up dating a really stunning looking woman, and she turned out to be one of the nicest people I had ever met. Really kind, caring, and funny. We split up years ago, but I still think of her fondly and hope she found a good man to share her life with. I genuinely can't think of a single bad thing to say about her. Story 2. That they were always attractive. I was a very ugly duckling my whole life until I hit my 20s. Then, all of a sudden I'm being told I never knew what it was like to not fit in, or I've never struggled with self-image issues. Truthfully, I just fully matured and grew up in my 20s. I went through so much bullying and self-image issues my entire life. Story 3. That they don't talk to you because they think they are better than you. Most attractive people don't have a lot of close friends. People treat them as a novelty and don't interact with them the way they do with others. This builds a weird base of experiences for the attractive person to operate from. Story 4. I guess one false stereotype about attractive people is that they are shallow. Some think they focus on their looks too much, which might be true in a few cases but not all. It's actually the people around them who usually notice their looks first, since they naturally draw the eye. Attractive people have different personalities and characters, just like the rest of us average-looking folks. Story 5. That they cannot be autistic or on the spectrum or have debilitating anxiety. People think I'm mean, but I just miss social cues, and my social anxiety would have people thinking I'm a complete asshole. Story 6. That they're mean. That they don't have unpleasant gas. Honestly, if there is an unattractive and attractive person standing together, you'll assume it was the unattractive person. The same with body odor. Also, that any achievement is because they look good and probably used that to achieve what they wanted. Story 7. That they have it easy despite being underestimated and constantly not taken seriously just because of genetics or taking the time to preen or care for themselves. Story 8. That they are no different from non-attractive people. Most people will be attractive when they are young and less so as they age, and we all stay the same people regardless. Story 9. That people are flocking to them or anything like that. My friend is a really beautiful woman, and her direct messages are super dry. Another guy I know is handsome and athletic, yet girls stay away from him because they automatically assume he is a playboy. Story 10. It is a false stereotype that they are horrible people. Also, just because someone has the appearance of being outwardly attractive does not mean they only like the opposite sex or the same, depending on preference, to also be outwardly attractive. Story 11. I am secretly really weird, awkward, and funny because I spent so long being unattractive and overweight that I had to develop a personality to survive. People compliment me a lot now on my looks, but I swear they are shocked when I am actually interesting too. Story 12. That they have pretty privilege. Truth is, there's a sort of reverse pretty privilege going on where attractive people are targeted, attacked, and bullied because of how they look. Story 13. That they are unapproachable or not nice. That can be wildly off. I'm fortunate enough that in my life I have only ever encountered a very small number of unpleasant people, and none of them were ever physically attractive. Quite the opposite, actually. Whereas the most attractive people that I have known in my life have been among the nicest and easiest to get along with. It's a bad stereotype, I think, repeated as a means to help unattractive people feel that they are bringing others down a peg. And if they are shy or bashful, they do not get the benefit of the doubt. Instead, it is unfairly attributed to being cocky, conceited, or aloof. Story 14. Almost everything. Everyone is different and should be treated as such. Attractive people cannot see themselves unless they look in a mirror, so they might not feel attractive. Story 15. That their social circles or dating pools are only reserved for fellow attractive people because they are incredibly shallow. Could not be further from the truth in many cases. Story 16. The only stereotype I have is that they have an easier life. I mean, I could hardly say no to an attractive woman. I am easy to take advantage of by an attractive person, especially if they are being genuine. It is not too hard to tell when you are being exploited. Even material stuff aside, don't they feel much better than ordinary folks bathing in all the admiration we bestow on them? Story 17. That they are constantly being approached by people for dates. Some of the most attractive people I know get approached less than my average friends because everyone assumes they are out of their league. People get intimidated by attractive folks, but really they aren't normally much more confident or sure of themselves than your average person. Story 18. That they are not single or have dates lined up always. It's quite the opposite actually. I see most people are attracted towards me but are intimidated by me and give up before even making a move. Story 19. That they can't be into nerdy things. There certainly is a stereotype for people who get deep into Dungeons and Dragons, Star Trek, Magic, The Gathering, comic books, and other stereotypical nerdy hobbies, but there are also a ton of conventionally attractive people into them as well. Story 20. For attractive women, they are complete bitches. Todd, are you sure that you want to talk to that very attractive girl at the bar? She's so hot. She's going to be a massive bitch. Sure, there are some attractive women who have a how dare you even talk to me attitude, but in my experience, I found that average-looking women are more likely to be bitchy. For attractive men, they are all jerks and douchebags. Just because a woman says that she's been with a lot of attractive jerks and douchebags, doesn't mean that these guys are actually bad. Sure, guys cheat, abuse, freeload, sure. But I've known lots of these attractive douchebags. They tell me that the girls give away sex from the get-go and then get angry when they couldn't lock down a relationship. Story 21. That they look attractive all the time because different circumstances highlight different levels of attractiveness. Like someone who looks hot at a party or formal event might comparatively look less attractive at the gym because they are not particularly built in terms of muscle. And I'm not saying everyone's definition of attractiveness is the same, obviously, but there are certain environments that will enhance some people's appearance while not doing much for others. Story 22. That they always looked like that and have no concept of being ugly. I am a reasonably good-looking adult. I was not a good-looking teenager, nor was I cute for most of my childhood. As a baby, of course I was, but who isn't? And honestly, my young adulthood, say 17 to 24, appearance was okay. From my mid-20s on, I hear all kinds of comments about how it's not possible I was bullied for my looks. And it wasn't jealousy. It's not possible that I wasn't popular with boys in high school, etc. Since I wasn't particularly attractive in the meat market years, a lot of the pretty privileged stuff never applied to me. It's useful to be good-looking now as a whole adult, of course, but it's not something I've experienced my whole life. People also really underestimate how much money impacts whether people view you as attractive. It's not just having plenty to spend on secret beauty procedures. A ton of beauty standards are literally reflections of whether someone has disposable income. Story 23. Depends on what you perceive as attractive. Most of the people I find attractive don't know. In fact, I would say it's almost a turn-off if someone knows too well, therefore not as attractive as they think. Story 24. How one person or a group of attractive people's bad behavior and segregation attitude has nothing to do with others who are attractive. I've had my interactions with different attractive groups and learned a lot while growing up. Story 25. That they have it all good. My stepdaughter is magazine beautiful but is so messed up mentally the poor kid is destined for a dark future. We saw one of her cyclical tirades last night when her and boyfriend came over for dinner. The poor boyfriend was just a shell of himself. I don't know why he doesn't just leave her. It would only do them a favor if he did. She won't get help. Her mother is torn up over it. Being the stepfather, my hands are pretty tied past making sure no physical harm occurs and being blindly supportive. Pretty sad stuff. Story 26. They have had it easy their whole life. I have only recently become conventionally attractive, and people are much meaner and more dismissive compared to when I was not. It is almost like they assume in their head that you have always had it easy, always been attractive, and they like to be the ones to bring you down a few pegs. Story 27. That they are dumb. Statistically, attractive people have slightly higher intelligence quotients. Genetics is unfair. More attractive people have higher intelligence quotients on average, are taller, more athletic, and have higher incomes. That also means they are more likely to understand what average means and won't comment. But what about a person with a high intelligence quotient who isn't conventionally attractive? Story 28. Not to sound conceited, but I'm actually a relatively handsome guy, or so people have told me. However, I'm socially awkward and literally a homebody who struggles with social anxiety, so people often assume I'm just full of myself or think I believe I'm too good to talk to others. I'm just a normal person who was lucky enough to have a nice face. I'm still a socially awkward dork, though. Story 29. That they have bad character. Appearance has nothing to do with character. I find people who date someone they do not find attractive, believing that it is somehow going to be better personality-wise, delusional. People can be unattractive and terrible people at the same time. Story 30. I'm fairly attractive. That's what people are telling me. But I was that ugly kid who got bullied in school, and I'm still stuck with this mindset. It doesn't help that I'm a perfectionist as well. I'm extremely insecure and have little love for myself. Whenever I look in the mirror, I still see traces of that kid, and I can't help but hate it. Story 31. Not that I feel I am more attractive by any measure, but I was at my worst mental health when I was at my best physical health. Every gym struggle to get to the next level, counting calories and going to the gym, working out 4 times a week on top of work, and 2 kids made me the worst version of myself. I probably overdid it, but the pressure I put on myself was horrendous. People thought he looks a lot healthier than ever before, but I felt worse. Story 32. That they are aware of it. When I was younger, I had no idea until people pointed it out. I have always had depression, so I don't think that ever sunk in. I don't think I am anymore, but looking at photos, I definitely was at one point, and I didn't know. People are intimidated by good-looking people, but good-looking people can't see themselves and are just people. If you find a kind and sweet person who happens to be good-looking, see it as a wonderful bonus. But really, you were lucky to find that guy or girl with a fantastic smile and good heart. Treat them kindly and never assume they're arrogant or anything like that. Maybe they're confident because they love life and like you. Story 33. Not all attractive people are aware of their beauty. I have met some who are very humble. Literally, they look like runway models, but they still live normal lives. They don't use their appearance for privileges, unlike those who are aware of it. Story 34. Attractiveness only relies on physical characteristics. After a while, you realize a good vibe is attractive. It's a different type of attractiveness because we do a lot of observation with our eyes, but when someone just moves and has the right energy, that's also attractive. Story 35. They do not make very good leaders. They were enlisted in the army for 3 years, and regardless of being male or female, primarily female in this instance, they did not make a very good or effective leader. They could not make a decision or a plan of action on their own. They always needed confirmation or sought the approval of the chain of command. There was this curvy sergeant who could not make a decision on her own. She constantly sought the confirmation of the captain or lieutenant on any course of action she had to make. She basically took 2 extra steps on a plan of action that needed none. Story 36. Being hot can almost feel like being ugly. When you are attractive and have those times where you feel unsure about your appearance and self-esteem, it really nags your brain. People will not approach you or compliment you because they think you are unapproachable or you get tons of compliments a day. I had some blunders during my teenage years, and I can tell you when I have a bad day, it hurts the same as back in the days. Story 37. That they are actually attractive. Once the makeup comes off and the push-up bras and fake eyelashes are gone, a 10 turns into a 5. True beauty is when you find someone attractive when you see them without all the makeup. Story 38. That they have good social skills. Obviously, we have assumed competence in attractive people. But there is also an immediate need to be socially dexterous in the case of someone showing interest in you or even just complimenting you. If you fail in some way, it makes you look unfriendly rather than just socially awkward. Story 39. We have good relationships. Being attractive might make people want you more, maybe. They often think you are too attractive to be with just one person. As a man, and a short one at that, I'm a hopeless romantic, but I can get attention. It's like a double something. I forgot what it's called. Many women have told me I'm handsome, though it has never played a role in my success with them. Story 40. That they have it easy in life. While they might get initial attention or certain privileges, they often face assumptions about their intelligence, personality, or work ethic. Many also deal with being objectified or not taken seriously, which can be frustrating and isolating. Story 41. That they have to be dumb since they used up all their karma on their looks. I've met many gorgeous and brilliant people. It is utterly unfair, but good for them. Story 42. Attractive young men get hit on and sexually harassed by older men from early teenage years and onward. They do not receive the protection, sympathy, and support that young females do. Their parents do not warn them about predators. The stigma against speaking up and asking for help is worse for boys than it is for girls. They are much more vulnerable. Story 43. That they are into other attractive people. Every time you see someone super hot with a less good-looking person, everyone jumps to say how they do not fit. Just because someone has good looks does not mean they want to have a relationship with someone who looks like them. They have preferences just like everyone else.